Hello, this is Greg coming at you again with another installment of Operating in the Creative. What I want to talk about today is the D word. It's a very naughty, nasty, dirty word that nobody really likes. It's called discipline. All right. I remember about 30 years ago when I was in church, the bishop was talking about different characteristics, character traits. And he had these little flashcards, and like he's like, okay, so who likes to have some love here? All right, and people would run up to the stage and grab it and say, "Yeah, I want some love." Who wants some joy here? Everybody grab up. You know, then he said, "Who wants some discipline?" And he looked back at me because I was in the choir. He looked back right at me, and I I was grinning. I walked over there and I grabbed that card and I said, "Discipline's a good thing." And he said, "Yep." but I waited a little bit because I was going to see if somebody else was going to grab that card, and nobody wanted to grab that card. Let me tell you something about discipline. All right, discipline can be a good thing or a bad thing. Discipline can either work for you or against you. It depends on how you use it. Right? Discipline to me has never been a bad thing. As a matter of fact, if you're going to advance to higher dimensions, whether it's in this life or the next, it's going to take discipline. It's going to take a mind. You're going to have to use your mind. Okay? No longer are you going to be able to be in some religious club and think that just because you're a Christian or just because you're a Pentecostal or a Baptist or whatever, that you're going to go to heaven. No, it's going to take work. It's going to take a mindset to get there. All right, and so in order to do that, you need to discipline what's between these 2 ears. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Okay. And I've always loved discipline. Discipline is hard work at first, but when you begin to see the outcome of what you're striving to do, then it makes it all worth the while. And discipline separates the men from the boys, the women from the girls. It basically discipline will separate you. Having good discipline will make you understand uh, things in a whole different perspective. So I encourage you to basically learn to be disciplined. I mean, think about it. Anything that you want in life, it's going to take discipline to get there. You have to have a plan, and then you have to have the discipline to be able to make the changes that you need to take steps to fulfill that plan. All right. No longer things just don't happen. I think it was Dwight D. Eisenhower, President Dwight D. Eisenhower. He once said that nothing happens by chance. Nothing is a coincidence. All right. So in order for your life to change, in order for you to walk in your full potential, in order for you to have a very fulfilling life, it's going to take discipline. All right. As my wife says a lot of times, you can't cut corners. You can't cut steps. You can't. In order for you to get where you want to go, in order for you to fulfill your purpose and your dreams, you cannot cut steps. You can't just say, okay, well, I'm not going to do that stuff. I'm going to do this. Doesn't work that way. I remember years and years ago when I was first in the ministry, I would see people, my peers, they would kind of push their way into, a position. Like when I worked for the youth ministry, the youth leader used to allow whoever wanted to like speak on something for the kids. I was basically with the middle school kids, and she said that if one of us wanted to speak on something, let her know, and she'd see about allowing us to speak on things. To take a, a a session and speak on things. I told myself I would never push my way into a position. All right, that if God wanted me to have it, to do it, then God will make it happen. Well, I kept seeing my peers, kind of like pushing their way there, always wanting to teach, always wanting to say something. And then finally, she came to me one day and asked me to go ahead and teach a lesson. And I'm like, okay. She goes, so then she asked me, what are you going to teach on? I'm like, I don't know. You just brought the fact up that you want me to teach. And it's going to take me a minute to pray and to prepare for the lesson. So about 3 or 4 days later, she called me again. And I said, I don't know yet. I'm still working on it. Right. So the day came for me to teach. And she said, okay, I want you to teach on this. And then she told me what, right? And I told her, I said, good, because that's what I was going to teach on. I said, I've already prepared for it. I've already, got it prepared. Everything's fine. And so, because she was so unsure of me, she only let me teach about 5 minutes. But it was the kind of lesson where in 5 minutes, I basically preached on something that somebody could take a half hour. It's like it was extremely impactful. And so she told me, she appreciated me for that. But the point I'm making is this, okay? And several points that I made just a few minutes ago. You don't have to push your way, all right, bully your way, or act like people do in the corporate world where they push their way and bully their way into things. That's not going to work, all right? That's bad character. And in order to prosper in this day and age, in the dimensions that are higher than this third dimension, it's going to take better character. So even in your endeavors, have good character. The other thing I mentioned before too is have a plan. All right, have a purpose, have a plan, have a way of getting there, and then fulfill it. That's how you succeed. You don't succeed by accident. You succeed first and foremost by having good character. All right, have a purpose, have a plan, have a strategy. All right, and then that's basically how you do it. And the other thing about that also is stop worrying about how long it's going to take. Stop worrying about where you are in life. Stop worrying about whether it's going to happen. Get all fear out of your life. That's another very important lesson. Fear has got to go. Have confidence in yourself. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in God. Have faith in the universe to bring you the materials that you need and go with it. Well, I hope this helps somebody today. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave them and be your God's self and be the God and Goddess that the true and living God has created you to be. Have a great day. Bye bye.